We are ready to go with today's opportunity. Today's opportunity is on how to access the digital content that we helped to contribute to, but is still being worked on, and holes are being filled in, and this digital content is available. And, I'm still hearing, even though we've been part of this process from the beginning, I'm still hearing lots of teachers say, I just really want to find more things, to use to teach my lessons, whether it's videos or good activity ideas or websites that maybe have a game format for them to practice a particular skill that you're learning that day. I'm still hearing teachers ask for those things. And so I just want to remind everyone that that has been the goal of the Digital Content Consortium that we were a part of, and that is continuing with the digital content cohorts that have been established this year to try and fill in the holes. And so I'm trying to make that content a little bit more accessible to you. So I'm on our school Symbaloo here, and really this content has always been available down here where this done button is that says consortium complete. But as the cohort has continued to fill in holes, this sheet is even out of date, and I think people forget that it's there, and we just need to make it easier for you to access. So I just want to point out all those different ways and talk to you today about how you can be using those to enhance your lessons in the classroom. So first, let's just talk about the fact that, let me come over here to another tab. All of this content is available in the My Big Campus library. But I'm going to show you an easier way to get to it, but I just want you to make sure you know that it's all been available and always will be available in the My Big Campus library. So if I go in here and I go to the library icon in My Big Campus, and you do need to log in to be able to do these searches, I can come over here and search for a particular topic. Let's say adjective. Okay, so when I search for adjectives, I get all this content that comes up. This is a website. But here we see that certified bundle symbol, which means that this is a complete lesson. Happens to be second grade, Betsy. And we have a junior high one as well. And so if we click on that, we're going to see that complete lesson. This was done by our very own Brooke Busenbark. And you'll see that you've got the introduction, so you've got a video to kick off that lesson, the instruction piece, different videos and websites and tools that you can use as you're actually teaching the lesson. Here's some things you can use for the students to be active with and engage with. Here's an assessment you could give them over adjectives, and then we have some extension content as well. So, I know I don't need to spend a lot of time talking about the structure because I think we're all familiar with that structure of that certified bundle as we worked on those last year. But that's how you could find it through the My Big Campus library. Now, I wanted to make these more accessible to you so that you could get to them a little bit easier, and to make sure that that you're able to use them efficiently, as you're teaching your lessons. So we've been adding them to the Symbaloo. So if I come over here, we've got all these grade level buttons, and I'll just go into the second grade one. And you'll see that if you haven't been here in the last few hours anyway, it has changed just a little bit. This was my attempt to take all of those bundles the consortium was creating and make a button for each of them. What I'm discovering though is that we are outgrowing Symbaloo, that they're, among second grade, if we do math, language arts, science, social studies, there are way just too many bundles to put into a single Symbaloo like this. So we're going to have to, these ones down here at the bottom might eventually go away. Because we need to kind of condense it a little bit. So if I go to here, this is a new button that I just added. It says Math Digital Content 2 for second grade. If I go there, it's going to take you to a spreadsheet, which to me is just not quite as pretty as what we get in the Symbaloo. But it should be just as usable to you and is actually going to, be able to put everything into one place. So you can scroll down through here at all these different topics. And if you find something for something that you're teaching, you can click on the link for it. Now, some people struggle with this. This is a Google spreadsheet. And when I click here, it doesn't just go to the website. It brings up this thing that says go to link, and I have to click again on that link before it actually goes to that website. But then it will go to that website and you'll get that complete lesson with all of those websites and videos and things that you can use on this particular topic. Okay, so that just makes them a lot more accessible to you. So you can see as we scroll down here, we do have a few holes in the math content, but not a lot at the second grade level anyway. Most of our second grade math standards do have a bundle with them. And the current cohort is working on, here we've got 3 standards in a row that we don't have any content built on. The cohort is working on building that content over the course of this year. So hopefully by the end of the year, those holes will be filled in. Okay, so I'm going to close that. I'm going to go back to our second grade Symbaloo here. This math curriculum bundle, this has been there all along. It just takes you to the guide about, kind of our best practices and how we're trying to run our new math curriculum. There's the online version of the Build Your Own Curriculum maps. A great resource. Math is Fun has got a ton of different activities. It's just a resource for teachers to use to get ideas for how to teach lessons. You've also got these Math Trainer and Math Fact Practice buttons. Those have been on the Symbaloo for quite a while now, but this is just to help your students practice their math facts. And sometimes you want to do this on paper, sometimes you want to do it with physical flashcards, maybe digital flashcards come into play sometimes. So these are just different things like that. So if I click on here, here's Alex Quick Tables, which doesn't start until 3rd grade level, but actually that should be off of yours. But here's 2 different versions of digital flashcards that you could use. In the Math Trainer one, you've got a different button for each of 3 operations at least, where they can go in and use that Math Trainer to practice their math facts. Okay, I'm going to jump over the science one, come over here for just a minute. This is what I think Anna especially has been waiting for, and lots of teachers too. A lot of teachers worked on language arts digital content last year and have been waiting for that to show up in the Symbaloo. Again, it turns out it's just way too big for us to list them all with individual buttons like this. But if you click on the ELA digital content for 2nd grade, again, you get a spreadsheet, so you're seeing the title of these bundles here. You can see what standard they are aligned to. Again, here's my link to go to it in My Big Campus. So if I click there, I have to click a second time. But that's going to take me to this bundle with all of the content that's been collected on that particular story. So really good resources already compiled for you. You don't have to go out and search for them. You don't have to weed through the good and the bad. It's all been put in place for you. Okay, so you've got quite a few. Let's see how many holes we've got on 2nd grade language arts. Yeah, we got some holes right here, and these fall into that speaking and listening. I expect some holes there. That is much harder to pull digital content together for, but it looks like the language arts for 2nd grade is fairly well covered, so that's good. Quite a bit of content built there. All right, then we do have a button for science. The state has just started science and social studies cohorts to finish the content. As a consortium last year, we focused mostly on math and language arts. We did build some science and social studies content, but that was definitely not as complete. And so they have started up a cohort now that is going to work to fill in those holes. There are quite a few more of them. In fact, you'll notice that 2nd grade doesn't have a social studies button yet, and that's because we currently don't have any 2nd grade social studies bundles compiled. But they are coming. In fact, I think later this week I have our first meeting with the science and social studies cohort. So that content will start pouring in pretty quickly, and then you'll see a social studies button appear on the Symbaloo so that you can access that. But if I go to the science one, it's going to look just the same, only not quite as much content in here. So here's, a little bit at least of second grade science content, again, where you can click on the link and go there and see what somebody has compiled for us for the second grade level on the topic of weather in this case. Okay. All right. So for the sake, I've been focused on second grade here for a little bit. I'll just take a look at what's in some of the other content areas. Let me go to first grade. Okay, so there you can see a button for social studies. So it's the same thing. Here's your math, the math for the first grade. Here's the language arts for first grade. Here's science and social studies for first grade. Okay, and those will get expanded upon as that content is available. If I jump to fourth grade, we just have math and language arts, so on. Let me go to the main page because we've been focused on elementary here, but as I go back to our main Symbaloo, beyond the kindergarten through sixth grade buttons that we have up here in the top corner, we do have content area buttons now, primarily for those secondary teachers to be able to use, since we can't really, do a button for every grade level. Once we get up into the high school, it gets a little bit trickier that way. We do have a math area, and these are just some really great resources for math lessons. But right here, digital math content. And this is going to take you to the content that's been compiled for all of grades 7 through 12. So down here, there are tabs. So here's all the 7th grade content. Here's the 8th grade content, and so on and so forth, all the way up through calculus. So you can see what content is there. And again, this will continue to grow and develop as time goes on, as the cohort continues to finish creating those bundles. So we also have language arts, science, social studies, and different special areas. So I'm not completely done transferring the current content in. I worked on that almost the entire day today, but it's not completely all transferred in, so I'll continue to work on that throughout the rest of the week and try and get it completely up to date. And then I'll probably update it again over the summer when we've had quite a bit more content compiled. So we'll try and keep those buttons as up to date for you as possible. Okay, I'm going to pause for just a second. I want to show you in a minute how to just kind of give you some ideas of how you can use these lessons with your students in the middle of class. But before I do that, I want to just take a break here and see if there are any questions from our one participant today who's live. So Betsy, is there anything that you didn't understand that I just clicked through and went over? Is that all kind of making sense to you and feeling like something you can take advantage of? And those of you who are listening to the recorded version of this, please don't ever hesitate to email me, and say, hey, I watched the opportunity recording and I don't understand this, or can you explain this more? Be happy to help you out with that. Okay, looks like Betsy's good to go. So let's just talk about then how you would actually use this content in class. So if you're sitting down with your students, this should be the home page on all of their devices, this Symbaloo. And so you can have them click on that second grade button. And then you can have them, click on the, math content button. And they're going to get this spreadsheet. And I know that for second graders, this might be kind of overwhelming. But you could have them, you might say, okay, today we're working on making 10, and you just have to kind of train them in how to find where it says making 10 and how to click on it and then click on it again. These are the kind of things that at first students don't know how to do at all. And the younger they are, the more chaotic it is trying to train them. But Betsy, I think you well know that they do get it eventually. You have some other options as well. You could just simply use this spreadsheet as a resource for you to be able to get to the content. And then if you decided you wanted the students to access any particular thing, you could send that to them through My Big Campus. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this Making 10 bundle by our very own Kylie Gilman. Okay, so I go here and, so I'm teaching this lesson on making 10, and I've got a brain pop video right here. So I can pull this up on my screen and you can use that Symbaloo as a shortcut to get to this so you don't have to search for it in the My Big Campus library. Nobody had to share it with you or make you a collaborator on it or anything like that. You can just get straight to it in the or through the Symbaloo. You shouldn't even have to log in to My Big Campus because these are all published bundles. So if you click on the Symbaloo, it should just take you right to the bundle. So you can use this Brain Pop video as part of your teaching lesson. Kylie kind of gives some ideas of how she actually teaches the lesson and what activities she does with the students. But right here, here's a game that's going to have them practice making 10. And let's say that you really want your students to get on this game and to do this. So you have a few different options. One, you can direct them there like we just talked about. You can have them go to the Symbaloo. I just like to go through it over and over. Oops. Let me get to the main page here. You can have them go, bring up their computers, click on second grade, click on math, and click on making 10. And that's going to take them to that bundle. Okay? But if you find that that route is just too hard to convey to your students and to walk them through and to have them actually get where you want them to go. Another thing that you could do is in My Big Campus, in your groups. So you would go over here to groups. You would choose the group that you've set up for your students. And of course, this all depends on whether or not you have established a group and put your students into that group. That's a very simple process, and I'll be happy to walk anyone through it who needs help getting a My Big Campus group set up for their students. Betsy, I know that you do already have one, at least I think you do. And so I'm just going to go into my sample test group so I can demonstrate this for you. Okay, so I'm in my sample test group. I have my students all entered as members in this group. And Betsy, you do have this part all done. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So I can go right here to announcements. Okay, and I've already looked on here and I've found that the title of it, let me go here. The title of it is Math Making 10. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on this little icon for the library. And I'm going to search for that. Now, some people really have trouble finding what they're looking for with this search. I usually advise you to try not to put the entire title in. Like my tendency is to put, okay, this title is Math Making 10. And so I want to put all of that. And sometimes that doesn't get you the results you're looking for. So you might just try less words if you don't find what you're looking for, because we know it's in the library. Okay, so making 10, I'm going to search for that. Math, actually I think that's the actual activity. Let's see what that's called. Oh, math lines. Okay, so that's another thing we could do. We could search for that. Where's my group? Oh, over here. Making 10, that's a video. Scrolling down. Boy, there's a lot that fit that description. Okay, so let's do this. Let's try searching for the whole title. That didn't work either. This is what happens when I, do things live on a webinar that I haven't tried out yet. Okay, but let's say we wanted them to just have this game. So it's called Math Lines. Let's try that. Back in our library. Math Lines. There it is. Okay, so there's that website that we want to take the kids to. So I searched for it, I click search, I click on what I want, and it adds it right here. I do have to type something up here. So for my students, I'm going to say, please go play this game to practice making 10. And then I'm going to click post. Now when I was in my search, See how this search box is on top of that blue posting button? That messes some people up. So if you still have that search box open, just use that little gray X to close that. Don't delete what you've attached, but close out that search box and then click Post. So what my students will see is the announcement and they'll see that link. Okay? And that's all in the announcements section of their group. Now, when they first go to My Big Campus and log in, it'll also be in their activity feed. See how it's right here? It'll be right on the first page when they first log in if you just did it recently. If you work too far ahead and you post that announcement, like 2 weeks before you're going to use it, it could get buried if other things are showing up in their activity feed between now and then. So you probably want to post that right when you're ready for the students to use it. And then they'll have that shortcut where as soon as they log into My Big Campus, it's right there on the front page. They'll click on that, and then they'll be able to play that game. Okay, so a couple different options. If you only want to take them to one particular thing, you could do it by that route. If you want to get them to this whole bundle, you can take them. Another option you have too, really, is to come up here and copy this URL, the address of your website, and then, oops, I left my group. I can also go here to the groups. And I can post an announcement just like I did before, only this time, oh my goodness, I can't type. I can just paste it in there and post, and then that will become a link that they can click on. So if you find that to be an easier way to go about doing it, that's another option too. So lots of ways. The last thing you want to do is try and get students to a big long address by having them type it in like this. We're just trying to avoid and make it so that you have other options besides directing them there. So I guess one question I want to ask you, Betsy, is, if you feel like your students can handle following links from this spreadsheet, or if we need to continue to work on trying to make things more efficient. Like I said, I just don't see a way that I can get all of these links, especially since it's not even complete yet, into the Symbaloo. So I'm just curious of your opinion on that and whether you think that that's too cumbersome for, a second grader to be able to follow, or if we need to keep brainstorming solutions for that. And those of you who are listening to the recorded version of this, if you have thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. Shoot me an email. Probably can if they see it and do it a few times. Yeah. That's what I think too. And then we'll still have issues with, kindergarten and first grade, whether they would, be able to do that easily. But that may be a sort of thing where they do something like that in a center and the teacher just follows those links quickly to get it on, 4 or 5 computers or iPads, or however is going to be the best way to go about that. Okay, Betsy, do you have any additional questions for me? It is 3:29. I'd like to kind of try and wrap this up and see if you have any questions. Well, Betsy, I'm glad you do learn new things when you attend Opportunity, and you are among the couple faithful attenders, and I just love how much you are just soaking it all in and learning new things all the time, and I appreciate you being here and giving me at least one person as a live audience, and hopefully lots of people will be able to watch the recording and will benefit from this. So good luck as you continue to work towards bringing these digital resources into your lessons. And anytime that something doesn't make sense to you, or you're frustrated, or you just plain need help, please reach out to me so that I can come and support you. I hope you have a wonderful evening, Betsy, and try and stay warm.